Welcome to PWE Music. I'm Dr. Patrick Engler, and in this video, we're heading back to Texas to focus on the low clarinet etudes for the TMEA All-State program. In this one, we're focusing on the first selection, which is the Caprice number 7, pages 90 and 91, from the Artistic Studies Book 1 from the French School by David Hite. In this etude, we're making sure to not go the whole way through. We're just going from the beginning to the downbeat of measure 28. Let's get into it. To start off with this etude, I'm unfortunately going to call it how I see it, and that is that this etude is not the best selection for low clarinets. For soprano clarinet, just fine. Unfortunately, a lot of the virtuosic elements that this Caprice is going to showcase don't translate as well to low clarinet, especially when we're dealing with a high school level low clarinetist. And the other issue with that is that a lot of kids are going to be playing on school instruments. And unfortunately, school instruments just aren't as uniformly well tuned as a soprano clarinet. We're going to have a lot of kind of unforced errors, as it would be with this etude and trying to perform it on a low clarinet, especially in the tempo range given on the website. However, we can complain about things all we want. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, as musicians, sometimes we have to play things that don't necessarily fit with what we want to do, or maybe are not the most approachable. And we have to learn how to deal with that. And I think, as I often do, we try to find what our takeaway with an etude is. And I think in this case, this is a good case study of learning what you can from an etude, doing what you can from an etude, and then being confronted with maybe you do not have the ability to perform it exactly how you want, at the tempo that you want, at the optimal performance level that you would like to get to, because it's simply unapproachable. So as we get into this etude, I'm sure many of you have been practicing this for quite some time. I do want you to keep in mind that for a high school level and for maybe an instrument that's not in the best of shape, this etude is very difficult. And so set your expectations. Like I said, take what you can, come from a stance of, I'm going to squeeze as much out of this as I can, rather than feeling like you've missed out on something when it maybe doesn't get to the same level as other etudes. So how do we go about squeezing as much juice out of this etude as we possibly can and getting out of it what we can? Well, the first thing, and I can't stress this enough, if you watch other videos of mine, you've seen me say it in many of those. Take it slow, play it where you can, accomplish that technique, get the base level of notes and rhythms, rather than trying to push and go faster and making it sloppy. So, this etude has a lot of virtuosity in it. In every example of a technical etude, playing it a little bit slower and cleanly is going to come across as far more polished than fast and sloppy. So, we take it slow, we play it where we can play it 95 to 100%. That may not fit within the tempo range given, but we want to take the long-term approach here, remember. We're going to work our fingers, get nice, solid technique, do what we can with this etude, and as we move on, we'll have learned a better lesson by working our fingers, making it clean, than if we try to play it fast and sloppy. The next point I'd like to highlight with this etude, and this is taking into account that we're playing a larger instrument, we're going to need more air. We're taking it hopefully a little bit slower so that we can achieve this technique and have it come across clean and with clarity. This next point is figure out your breathing plan. we are likely going to need more breaths than are written in the music for the reasons that I stated before. So figure out those places that you want to get an extra quick breath so that we can keep that good air support, so that we can keep that good full sound throughout. With all the virtuosic technique in here, it's easy to rush ahead. Now, hopefully, back to the original first point, we're going to be practicing with metronome, taking it slow, keeping our technique in check. But when we move away from that metronome, we want to avoid rushing. So here we want to utilize our tenutos to help keep ourselves reined in and keep ourselves in check. Now, where do we put these tenutos? Generally, I would put these at the beginning of a slurred group of 16th notes. So we have all these 16th note sextuplets in here. We would put it at the beginning of each of these groups. So we push a little bit. We give it a little bit extra time on that first note so that it helps us rein it in, keeps us kind of pulsing on those beats without it being plodding and obvious. And it helps minimize the rushing if we give ourselves time to kind of take some time and push on the beat. Building off of this, we have a lot of bigger leaps, which into the second register, which for bass clarinet can be a little more difficult than soprano clarinet. The second register on bass clarinet is a lot more resistant comparatively than soprano. So here we can do the same thing with the tenutos, push on one of those notes, give yourself a little bit extra time, make a little bit more of a musical statement that helps you achieve it, find a musical solution to a technical problem. If we can find those moments to make a little bit more of a musical statement that also helps us technically achieve something, we're going to be better off than trying to blow through it, rush, or just try to blow through it and be too quick for what we're asking the instrument to do. Finally, let's talk about some ways that we can practice this technique to efficiently work through all of this stuff we've got to work through. So, the big thing here that I like to stress is with something like this where almost every measure is a bit of a finger workout, take small bites. Set reasonable goals for yourself when you're practicing and really focus on one thing rather than trying to hit everything all at once. If we set smaller goals, we'll find that we get through everything much more efficiently than if we try to hit everything every day. So, whether that's one measure a day or 2 measures a day, whatever your pace is, find out those smaller bites for yourself and work through it in that way where we get better reps and more efficiency on all of this technique. Now, when we're practicing this technique, one thing that we can try that will help the fingers out is practice rhythms. So practice rhythms is basically we kind of mix up the rhythm, make it uneven or make it a different rhythm than written to help focus on different finger motions. So classic example is instead of playing a straight consistent rhythm, we break it up into swung, or we do reverse swinging, or we do a long and a couple shorts. Anything to put the focus on different finger motions happening at different times. When we do this, we're working on one finger moving faster compared to the others and working on really thinking about what our fingers need to be doing so that we can change that rhythm. So when we go back to the consistent rhythm, it should be much smoother and more consistent. Finally, when we're talking about doing multiple reps, one thing that we can use is something that is called like the penny method. Now I know we don't really have pennies anymore unless you've got some saved up in your bank, but pick a set amount, 5, 8, 10, however many you'd like. Set them on one side of your stand. As you play a specific passage correctly, move it to the opposite side. And once you've gone through all of them, then you can move on to the next thing. This is a good way of organizing your practice. So, like we're saying, we want to take small bites. We want to be efficient with our practice. So this is a good way of tracking what you're doing, giving yourself a visual goal so you can see it happening and you can kind of watch it tick away as you work towards your goal. But that about wraps it up for this etude. Unfortunately, like I said before, not the best choice for a bass clarinet or low clarinet etude. However, we got to work with what we have. So take that mindset of take what you can rather than feel like you're missing out on something from this etude. Do the best you can, and really good luck with all of the technique. There's a lot to work on here, but with following some of these steps and putting in the time, you should be able to do it to the best of your ability. But if you have any questions, feel like I missed something, be sure to drop it in the comments. I'll make sure to address it. Be sure to subscribe so that you can catch all the other videos in our All-State series. Finally, happy practicing. We'll catch you in the next one.